at best case scenario was the same thing where people paid money, went on these investigations. It was basically just a sham. They never met Ryan. He didn't show up to meet with them. People paid money to have lunch with him, and he didn't show up. The same experience I had, and I'm like, at least I'm not crazy. At least other people are complaining about the same thing. But that was best case scenario. There's a lot of people saying that they paid money. For some people, before the event, it was canceled on them, and they never got their money back. Other people actually showed up, drove across the country or flew across the country, showed up to these hotels, got to the hotel to check in and said, I'm here for the Paranormal Research Society event. And the people at the counter would be like, what? What are you talking about? There's no events here. What are you talking about? Only to find out that Ryan and his team had canceled the event, but never remembered to tell anybody. And these people showed up for events that actually never happened. And they basically ended up just staying at this hotel for a weekend because they had paid for it and just turned it into a small vacation without actually getting to meet anybody or doing anything. Then it just keeps spiraling from there. On top, so basically on their Facebook page, the Facebook page still exists today. You can actually go back and see all of this unfold. I'm not making it up. You can see all this unfold, all the negative comments, the apologies and everything. If you go to the Paranormal Research Society on Facebook, the Facebook group still exists. It's still active. But if you scroll back a few years, you can see all this going on. And basically at this point, for the next 2 to 3 years, it's just a constant cycle of this happening, but always getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Not only is it events, but it is, promises of buying books of Ryan's, buying signed DVDs. Then there was a point where Ryan was pitching pre-orders for a behind-the-scenes book about Paranormal State. So once he basically ran out of books about Paranormal State, then it was pre-orders for the behind-the-scenes book. The merchandise scam itself, that never ended. It was the same thing where people would order stuff, never get it, never get their refunds. It would go on. And pretty much at that point, it was almost always Serge getting on and apologizing on behalf of Ryan. And it was always, the excuse, it was always around the fact that Ryan's sick, that he's doing his best, he's in recovery, he's battling pancreatic cancer, he's in recovery, he's beating it, but he's just so weak and tired, and he's just dealing with so much on his plate personally, that you just got excused that we're just doing a very bad job with sending you the stuff that you're buying, which makes you just sound like an awful person when you complain. And then people would, at least be like, I understand what's going on, I hate to sound like an asshole, but I paid for this. If you're not going to send it, can you at least just give me my money back? This went on for a long time, and it eventually built up. The big thing was in 2014, Ryan announced a big tour. Him and Chip Coffey were going to do a big U.S. and Canadian tour. Trying to remember what the name of the tour was. I can't remember. Conversations with the Dead. So Ryan and Chip were going to do a big tour called Conversations with the Dead. Of course, like always, Ryan and the PRS team were taking pre-orders. So before the event was really even announced, there was pre-orders to buy your tickets. Chip Coffey was on board. And then at one point, Chip backed out. So before the tour, Chip Coffey mysteriously backed out. And then eventually Ryan announced on the Facebook page that the entire tour was canceled. Now, Chip Coffey is quoted as saying in public, newspaper articles and things like that when this one kind of fell apart, that at the time that Chip signed up for this, Ryan had already pre-sold $80,000 worth of tickets for the tour. So this was at the beginning, so no one really knows how much money was collected for this. But of course, the tour was canceled, and Ryan puts a thing on saying it's due to his health. And then he basically says PayPal will be responsible for getting you your money back. I need to go take care of my health. I'm going to be kind of step aside for a while and be quiet. And actually, I'll read you. It says, "Dear friends, I am deeply sorry to have disappointed you. It breaks my heart, and I apologize most sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I wanted to complete the tour. However, in addition to the PayPal issues." I don't think the PayPal issues was PayPal. I think it was just the fact that they weren't refunding anybody. "In addition to the PayPal issues, unexpected serious medical issues arose repeatedly, complicating things in ways that you cannot imagine. I am an extremely private person, and I did not want to come forward with my medical issues. We need time and space right now to recover and regroup. We will be offline for a while. Please pray for us. Thank you for your forgiveness and understanding and compassion. Humbly yours, Ryan Buell. And then basically Ryan goes dark with minimum $80,000 of people's money. A little while later, Chip Coffey reveals why he backed out. He basically said that there were things going on that he just began to stop trusting Ryan. He did not. He was finding out that the places that the tour was supposed to be happening weren't actually getting booked by Ryan, and he kind of saw this falling apart, and he didn't want to be financially liable in any way, shape, or form, so he backed out before he ever took a dollar from Ryan, because he kind of saw this all falling apart. But it only gets deeper and more interesting. So, in 2016... Ryan was arrested for 2 felony charges related to theft and stolen property. Without getting into too much detail, I think at some point it had something to do with he stole a rental car, so and so forth. And again, but Ryan keeps going online. People keep sending him money. The loyal Paranormal State fans just keep signing up for these events, these conferences, all this stuff that wasn't happening. So finally, after Ryan is arrested in 2016, finally, online, I think on the Paranormal Research page, a message is posted by Ryan, or somewhere, but a message is posted from Ryan's mother. And here's what she said. Please, in all caps, please stop enabling his situation by sending money, buying tickets to events that may never occur, buying merchandise or phone calls you may never get, paying money to watch him on Twitch, and giving him offers of shelter. I am pleading with you out of love for my son, and I'm frightened by what his situation has become. Fans and one-time fans... Then she says, he's ill, but not from cancer. His family knows the real story. You all need to stop believing his lies and stop enabling him, please. This is on abc11.com. So this was on a ABC affiliate website that I pulled up today. So finally, what many are saying, the truth is finally revealed that according to his mom, Ryan didn't have cancer. Then at some point, I believe on Facebook, Chip Coffey eventually posted about how incredibly disappointed he was to find out that Ryan didn't have cancer. Chad Kalick, even eventually, because now this is starting to stain Chad Kalick, because he's trying to make a career out of doing his documentaries, and now his attachment to Paranormal State is making his documentaries and the things that he's doing questionable, so he had to put a comment out saying, I've separated myself from Ryan, I have no interaction with him, I don't know what's going on, this blows my mind to find out that he might have been lying about ever having pancreatic cancer. That's 2016, and then 2017, State College Man, this is on centraldaily.com, State College Man faces new charges after alleged fight with boyfriend. Ryan is arrested in 2017 again, and this time for basically, police were called in for a domestic abuse type situation where the police get there and saw that Ryan had basically... scratched and hit and pushed and bit his boyfriend who he was living with. Around the same time, too, eventually we're told that Ryan and Serge were in a relationship together, that they were engaged at one point. And this is all 2017, just a few months ago, really. Then Serge gets on Facebook a few months ago because... people are still trying to get their money back from things. So Serge puts he gets online with his girlfriend that he was with at that point now, trying to basically distance himself from Ryan. He's basically saying, leave me out of this. This is all Ryan's problems, which is just, it was such BS for Serge to come out and kind of say, oh, I had nothing to do with all this, even though for years it was the two of them doing all of this together, that every time that there was an apology to be made, Serge was the one going on and saying, we're having PayPal issues, it's because of Ryan's illness, all from him. So what's crazy about all the Paranormal State show is that it has turned in from a TV show on A&E that ran for 5 years to it's like a reality TV show. A couple months ago, Ryan after a little bit of a hiatus trying to stay away from people, he got online Facebook Live one night. So out of nowhere, he posts a message that says, I know I haven't spoken for a long time. I'm going to go live on Facebook tonight. Like typical Ryan, he didn't. He never went live that night, and everybody was complaining. But the next evening he did, just a few hours late. The second day he said he would go live at a certain time. Then a few hours later he did. He did not look well. He looked terrible. He looked like somebody that was and should be going into rehab. He said he was dealing with rehab. It was a very, 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 very odd. Now, this was on his personal Ryan Buell Facebook page. One of the most oddest things. Rather than stating it myself, so I'm not liable for anything, I will just at least agree with what everybody else was saying. He looked and sounded like he was high as a kite at the time. Again, I'm using what everyone else was saying and just saying that I agreed with how it appeared. Ryan now seems to be, or at least saying he's cleaning up his act. He goes live on Facebook every few days, once a week. So the drama continues. Serge just the other day announced that he's now engaged to his fiancée, the girlfriend he was with, and it just continues. And the Paranormal Research Society, a.k.a. Ryan Buell, is still active. He's still selling those signed DVDs. You can still send him money and get those signed DVDs, copies, the box set of Paranormal State. I already got my box set of the DVDs of Paranormal State, so I'm good. I don't think I'm going to send any more money in. If you want to watch any of the episodes, I didn't realize, but I just learned today, you can go to A&E, and all the you can watch the episodes actually on A&E. I think it's A&E TV or aetv.com, something like that. But anyways, this is concluding part 1 of this podcast, and now we're going to transition into part 2. So what I wanted to do for the rest of this podcast is me and our co-host, one of our co-hosts, Matty D. So Matty D and I watched separately an episode of Paranormal State, and then we got together to discuss the episode and what we were seeing and kind of in light of the things that we've learned and so forth, and kind of break down the episode. So we had a lot of fun with that, and I want you to continue to listen to this podcast because we're going to break down the final episode in Season 1, which was called The Asylum. And it was a pretty interesting episode. I'll get into the reasons why I chose it. Another reason we did this is I'm lining up future interviews, guests for the Reality Fred podcast. And one of the things I wanted to see is whether we had the ability to have someone phone, basically call in and over the phone, if I could patch them in through the mixing board and everything like that, or have them call in basically via Google Hangouts, and whether I could get the audio, have them hear the things from my end, from the computer. So we wanted to experiment with that. We decided, let's take that experiment and basically add a part 2 to this podcast about Paranormal State. So I hope you've enjoyed my ebb and flow through a show that I really loved, personal experience, and today. And I hope you can understand now, looking back, why everything about this, the way it went down and went on, and just all of it has really. When I think about the paranormal community, I'm very, 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 very skeptical now, and it just makes really all of it hard to believe for me. Are there ghosts? There could be ghosts. Is anything in the videos, conferences, investigations? Is any of that worthwhile? I should say, if there's a cost involved at this point, probably not. So without further delay, let's go ahead and transition into part 2 of this podcast, where me and Matty D get together and break down the final episode of Season 1 from Paranormal State, The Asylum. All right, let's see if this is going to work. Matty D, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Fred.
Okay, and Matty D, unfortunately, you're not going to hear this because you're coming in over the phone. But as I told you, we have a new theme song for you. It's a shame that the first time it gets played live, you won't hear it. But I'm going to go ahead and play your new intro for the folks at home. So here it is, the debut of the Matty D intro.
Yo, Matty D on the podcast. When he go live, you really can't top that. Give him a mic and he give you his thoughts. He used to dig graves, now lives in Oakmont.